Hello everyone and welcome to another Inkscape tutorial. I did a lot of introducing to this series in our first tutorial, just basically introducing what the program was and why we're talking about it. And as for the why, I'll go back over that real quick. This is the program that we use to design all of our laser cut kits out of MDF and acrylic, which you can take a look at on our website brushforhire.com right here on our on the screen. There's the URL. And it'll also be posted in the description. So the idea is that we want everybody to be able to design kits and more easily facilitate the creative process when we're working with others on doing custom projects for terrain or templates, tokens, that kind of thing. So we're going to be going over some of the more precision things that we did not cover in the first episode here, first tutorial. These things are just really fundamental parts of this that are going to help you do things precisely. So the biggest three that we're going to talk about are rulers, a set of tools up here in the menu called where is it? Align and distribute, along with rows and columns. Align and distribute, rows and columns, I think, all sort of go together. And then using steps or snapping. So let's go ahead and get started with the most basic part of this, which is rulers. Okay, so to do that, let's go ahead and look at the screen. On the top and bottom of our screen here, we have the rulers. And these aren't the rulers that I'm really talking about here. You can click into the middle of one of these and drag out a vertical or horizontal ruler. You can double click on each one of these and you can determine how far up or to one side it is. So let's say that we want to make a precise sort of binding box that's going to be down in the bottom left hand corner, that's only going to be 3 inches from this side over here and only 5 inches tall. So 3 by 5, we really want a sort of binding box there. So we're going to say this is going to set to 5 inches and we'll click OK and it'll pop down there. We'll double click on this one and we will set that to 3 inches. So now we've got our box there, but we do still need to create at least, well, we need to do the other two. So we're just going to set that one to 0, which will bring it down to the bottom edge of that page. And this one over here will also set to 0, which will set it there. So now we're zooming in using the plus key and minus key to zoom in and out. And we will, you can see here, that as soon as you get close to one of these intersections, it'll try to snap to it. You can also use these points here. It'll also try to snap to that point, which is also settable through, double clicking on this. We can, if I can just get to it, there we go. While the 5 represents how far up and down it is on the y-axis, the x-axis you can set where that point is. So let's say it's at 1.5. So now it's right there in the center of this box. Now we're going to kind of ignore that. We don't really need that one right now. We're going to start our handle snapping there, and then we're going to snap to this other intersection here. Wait until that little X pops up again. Where are you? Oh, it's already there. So now to double check it, if we click on it, we select it with the selector tool, up here at the top you should see, looks like we're just a smidge off. It's telling us that we're actually a little bit over. Now I wonder if we can just grab it here. Actually I think that may also be representing the width of the line. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our oval. It's bound to the box that we created because we've used this group of rulers to snap to it. This is pretty easy. There's nothing really to it. You just set your rulers where you want and let the snapping take care of the rest. So I am going to delete all these. If you just hold down your delete button and run your cursor over it, it deletes all of them. Okay, so on to the next part of this, which is the part that I use the most. So I almost never use the rulers, but they do occasionally come in handy. So it's a good thing to know where they are, but I wouldn't imagine that you're going to use it a ton. So I've selected from the object menu up at the top, there's two options down at the bottom, align and distribute and rows and columns. When you click each one of them, it opens up a pane here on the right hand side that is going to give you a whole new set of tools, right? So we've got a whole bunch of squares. We're about to just draw a whole mess of them real fast. Okay, so now we selected all of these things. Let's say we want them all to be in one straight little line across where all their centers are lined up. There's a tool for this. Right over here in Align and Distribute, there's a tool that actually sort of looks exactly like what we're about to do. It has a red line going right through the middle of it, and it centers everything on the horizontal axis. So we click it, and boom, everything is lined up horizontally. If we don't want all these things overlapping anymore, we can click on this thing down here. Now right now all these things are set to 0, so it's just going to push everything out of the way a minimum distance to get it not to be overlapping anymore. So we'll hit that. Now it didn't quite work the way we wanted it to, because this thing was right in the middle, and the fastest way to get it to not be intersecting anymore was to push it out sideways. I'm going to move this over here, and we'll hit the Align Horizontally tool again. So we're all lined up this way. Alright, so next we can also do where it aligns it to the bottom, aligns it to the, aligns it to the top, and you can do all that same stuff, straight up and down on the vertical axis or to the right and left. And then you have the distribute properties down here. So let's say that we've got a whole bunch of things here, and we want the distances between them. I'm going to get rid of this little one. We don't need that little one there. We want all the distances between these objects to be the same. Okay, so over here we've got one that is make horizontal gaps between objects equal. So there we go. So now the distance between this block and this block is the same, and this one is the same. So all the way across, all of the gaps are exactly the same. Some of the other tools that you can do is you've got ones where you distribute based on where the left margin is or the right margin is, or on center. So on center, all of the centers are exactly equidistant from each other. Now this also forces this to be overlapped because this one is so wide. So in this case, probably the one you'd want is make the gaps equidistant. So these tools, I know I'm talking really quickly and just kind of throwing a lot of things at you, but I encourage you to just play with these tools and get used to them. And once you even understand a couple of them, the rest of them will make sense, because all of the little pictograms are just so perfectly designed to help you just see the exact one you need. There are also some other tools here, like let's say we've got a little shape that we drew here, and we want these two pieces to be exactly vertical. If you've got your Align and Distribute up, when you switch to this other node editor tool, it will automatically switch to the node editing things over here that correspond to it. So we have one here that will line up the nodes vertically. So we'll just click that, and boom, you got those two on top of each other now. So what I use that for a lot is if I'm making an arrow or a diamond shape or something like that, and I want to do have it perfectly symmetrical on both sides, you can take this piece that we just made, and now that that edge is vertical, we can duplicate it by going to, where is that now? I always use the shortcut keys. Duplicate. Oh poo. Oh, there it is. Okay. Edit, duplicate. So it duplicates right on top of itself. And then what we can do is we can use the flip on the vertical axis tool here. That's up at the top. You've got flip on vertical, flip on horizontal, and then rotate clockwise, counterclockwise. So now I'm going to select both of these. Actually, before I do that, let's talk just a second about the control key. The control key on your keyboard, if you hold it while you're moving an object, will force that object to be moved only on the horizontal or only on the vertical. If I try to drag it off into the diagonal, it'll fight me to say, okay, no, you're going vertical or you're going horizontal. If you are scaling something, or if you are drawing something for the first time, like I'm going to draw a circle right now, but I'm going to hold the control key while I do it. It's going to force it to stay proportional, so it'll always be a circle and never an oval. So right now I let go of the key, and then as soon as I hold it again, it stays proportional. Also the same with a square. I believe if you start getting like really off, it'll start doing like 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 factors, but realistically, if you stay within close to a 45-degree angle, it'll maintain exactly what you want there. Okay, so we're going to hold the control key. We've dragged it over here. Actually, I'm going to leave it just a little bit overlapping. I'm going to select those and then have it remove overlaps again down here with this remove overlap tool. So now we've got this diamond tool. You could just leave it right there if you wanted to, but I'm actually going to select both of these lines. I'm highlighting all the nodes in the middle, and then I'm going to come up to the top where we've got a few node tools, and I'm going to click the button that says join selected nodes. So now it's joined, and it is officially one solid object. So you could actually go fill it with a color or whatever you want to do. Okay, so back to our precision stuff here. So we've got a way to align things. You've got a way to perfectly space these objects like this. You've also, I'm going to delete everything except for this. If we wanted to duplicate, I'm just going to hit Control D here. That's just the shortcut key for duplicate, and you should definitely learn it. I'll duplicate it. So I have a total of 6. I got 5 duplicates of the original, and I go back and I highlight all of them. They're all stacked on top of each other. We come over here to rows and columns. We can say, you know what, we want 2 rows of 3, or we can change it up to say 3 rows of 2. You can choose your alignment, whether it's centered, right, left, so on and so forth. And we have our spacing in pixels here, so I've got it set to 5 pixels. And now we click arrange, and boom, it arranges these for us, which makes it really nice to just have a whole bunch of an object on a sheet that I'm getting ready to cut, and I can say, okay, just arrange these all exactly equidistant so I can fit them on the sheet better. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is to know about the rows and columns. I mean, it makes rows and columns. Align and distribute is a very it's a very extensive set of tools. Also, one thing to note right here, it says align relative to. Right now it says selection. You can play around with a lot of these things. You can have it centered on the page, and the last object selected, first selected, so on and so forth. I just usually do selection, but these do have their uses. The first selected, doing the first selected, so that if we had a bunch of squares here and we wanted to make them all nested perfectly, we want all of them to be sort of concentric square rings. We could say, okay, we've got that one. We want them all in here. Let's say we've got our intricate design all around here, and we don't want to move this square. We want to stay exactly where it is. So we've got first selected. We grab that one first and the other 2, and then we take we're going to do both the vertical and horizontal alignments so that it'll center it up. So now this square didn't move, but the others did. Most of the time, because it really doesn't matter to me, I just leave it on selection. So it can just go wherever. So if we had done that with selection instead of first selected, we'd have done that, and everything would have sort of moved together. But you get the same result. It's just the entirety of it kind of moved a little on you. So if that doesn't matter, you can leave it on selection. If it does, set it to the one that makes sense for you. And then our last piece of toolage that will help you with doing things really precisely is actually going to be in Inkscape Preferences. It's up here on the File menu, and it is under Steps. So just scroll on down to Steps, and here in Pixels you can set a few different things. You can set how far does an object move when you use the arrow keys. Because right now, if I were to draw a square and then select it with the normal selector tool, so there, and I use the arrow keys, I can have it jump all over the place. I can use the arrow keys to move it right, left, up, down. I can come in here and I can set this to 20 pixels instead of the 270 it was at before, and I can get a much more granular control over where it's going. This also helps you in situations where you want a series of maybe perforated holes in your material, or you're trying to set things so that you can make tabs that you want to be an exact thickness. You could set it to 1/8 of an inch, which is 11.25 pixels in this situation. So if you had, let's say, you wanted a tab to be sticking out of the side of this, and this was the general dimension of the tab, but you only wanted to be sticking out 1/8 of an inch, we could set the steps or the arrow key moves to that. We've got both of our objects selected. We'll use the Align and Distribute tools to align everything to the right, and then so now we've got it to the right. We can select this one, hit the arrow key over to the right once. Boom, you've got an 1/8 of an inch tab sticking out that is the height of the object that you wanted before. And so to make that a final tab, you just select both of those, and you go to Union, and now they're one piece. So now you got your tab, and it's an 1/8 of an inch out, which matches the thickness of the material that we cut. So if you made a hole that same size over on your material, now you've got the tongue to go in that groove. Alright, so on that same piece here we've got scale by. I don't really ever use that. It allows you to actually I think it's a snapping tool for resizing things, but then you've got your inset outset. The inset outset tool doesn't seem to work so well for me for anything that isn't an object. If it's a path, it seems to really mess things up. So let's say let's set that one to 11.25 as well, so that it's an 1/8 of an inch, and I'll show you what I mean. Hopefully it will behave well enough with me here. So if we draw a square and then we select path, you've got inset and outset, which are control left bracket, right bracket, or left parenthesis, or open parenthesis, close parenthesis. You can inset, which will make it smaller, or you can whoops, there we go, outset, which will make it bigger by the amount that you put here. This is different from making it just bigger and smaller, because let's duplicate this, and then we'll make it a little bigger. You can see that this line is actually, or this width here is getting bigger faster than this will. But if we duplicate this and use our outset tool, you can see that by the time it gets to that top line, we still have a gap here, because it's proportionally, or not proportionally, but it's moving out from the outline as opposed to just making the shape bigger. Now, those all looked pretty good. They were objects. But let's say that we make a funky looking shape here, okay? And we'll even curve some of these. So we get a real strange looking doohickey here. So we got this thing. And we want it a little bit bigger. So we're going to duplicate it, and we will outset, and even that one is looking okay. But there are times when you'll start to get some really strange things going on. Okay, so I've just made a square, and then I turned it from a normal square into an actual path. So let's see if we can get this to start warping on us at all. Nope, still fine. Just be aware that occasionally that tool can get a little unpredictable. Like things that should still be corners start warping. Things that should be flat lines or really simple curves start buckling and doing weird things. So just be aware that it's not always the most reliable tool in the world, and just double check behind it. The other thing is we have the rotation degrees that it snaps. So if you're holding down the control key, it'll do a lot of the snapping for you. If you let's show a little bit of a difference here. We've got our square here, and we held down the control key, so it is a perfect square. If you click on the object the second time, you get the rotation piece here. You can spin it around as much as you want. I hit Control Z, so we're back to being level. If I hold Control while I do that, it will snap every 22.5 degrees, because that's what we have it set to in the preferences right now. If we wanted to, we can set it to anything between half a degree up to 90 degrees, and a lot of different steps in between. So the two that I tend to go between a lot is 22.5 and 30. That essentially gives me 8 stops in a full circle, or I think only 6. So if we set it to 30 here, that means that yeah, we get 1, 2, 3, and we're over. 1, 2, 3. Actually, it might be my math may be wrong there. I think it's 16 steps and then 12 steps. So depending on what you want to do, set your number of degrees to snap by. You can also select how far in and out it zooms when you hit the plus and minus keys. There's a lot of good stuff in here. There's also a ton of other settings for each one of the tools that you can set, but I would ask that you guys just mess with that on your own. That's of less consequence than learning some of these big overarching tools and what they do and how you can use them to your advantage. Let's see here. As a demonstration of this particular set of skills, what we're going to do right now is we're going to make a cog. We're going to make a cog because it's going to employ a lot of the precision skills that we just talked about. So our first thing is we're going to make a circle. We got Control, and this is going to be the outline of our cog. This is the greatest extremity. Actually, let's make it a bit bigger there. We're going to make another ring just inside this one that is going to be concentric with it. Now, to keep it scaled proportionally, we're going to hold Control. We're also going to hold Shift because it will keep it centered. Actually, we're going to duplicate. Then we're going to bring it in. Okay, so this is going to determine the height of our gears. Then we are going to duplicate again. We're going to come in. Oops, didn't hold Shift. There we go. And one more circle in the middle, and this will be our sort of center spoke hole there. I feel like I'm missing one of the lines here. Actually, I think I am. Let's bring this in just a little bit more, and then we'll have just one big bullseye here. Okay. I know this is looking really weird, but I promise we'll get there. Okay. So we're going to draw a square, or a rectangle, rather. All right. Our next step is going to be to turn it into one of the teeth on the cogs. To do that, we're going to turn this into a path. So we go up here to Object to Path, or you can hit the shortcut key, which is Control-Shift-C. We're going to switch over here to our node editing tool, and we're going to select the right node. I'm going to hit the the left node, and we're going to hit the right key. Once it's selected, it's going to bring that in, and we're going to knock the right one over to the left to make a trapezoid. So we've got our first tooth here. We're going to duplicate it. So Control D, and then we're going to come up here to the top, and we're going to flip on the horizontal axis. So now we're going to grab that one that we just did, and we're going to bring it down generally to where that one at the top is in comparison to the other lines. We're going to hold down the Shift key, grab both of them, and then what we're going to do is we are going to, even though they're not actually together, they won't actually form a new shape, we're going to make a union out of them. So Path Union, or Control Shift plus. So now we've got our first set of teeth, and they're exactly opposite each other, but they're not lined up with the circle yet. By the way, I was holding Control while I dragged that tooth down. That's why it's exactly vertical from it. Okay, so we've got everything selected. We're going to hit the Align on Vertical, Align on Horizontal. And it's going to put everything exactly where we want it here. So now, under our Inkscape preferences in the steps, we're going to set this over to 30 degrees. I think that's going to give us a better effect all over. So we're going to duplicate this, our teeth here, and then we're going to hold Control, and we're going to pull and start rotating until it snaps 30 degrees. We're going to hit Control D again, pull till it snaps, and keep on going until we make it all the way around. Now, we want to select all of the teeth as they are right now. And once we've got them all selected, we don't want any of the rings selected, we're going to make a union out of those two. So now they're all in one unified shape. This is even better than a group, like even more together than a group. This is like literally one object now, even though they're not sharing any borders. You can ungroup an object. I mean, you can you can break apart a union like this. But for the purposes of using the union or difference or any of the other tools up here that help you slice and dice your objects to get more complex shapes, those are it counts as one object. A group can't be cut or unioned or anything like that. Whereas this is a single object and can have those effects applied to it. Okay, so now we're going to use one of those very same union effects that that we didn't use before. So we've got the outer circle and we've got the teeth. And what we want is for that outer circle to cut off the bits of the teeth that are sticking out past it. So we selected those two things. I'm going to come up here and we're going to do intersection. So it trims off everything that went past it. I think that we actually may have missed one of the sets of, yeah, we did. Okay. So in that case, hold on. In that case, we need to go back and we'll add that to the union. So we'll go do the same thing that I talked about before, where we select those two, the teeth and the outer circle, and we'll do intersection, and it's trimmed off the edges of all the teeth. So now they conform to one circle around the edge. And all this talking is just drying me out. Okay. So now we've got our teeth and the next circle. The next circle, we're going to do a union with those, so that'll create our cog outer piece here. And now we are going to create the interior spokes that are going to hold this cog together. So we've got one rectangle here. We're going to do our same vertical horizontal line up there, and then we'll duplicate that spoke and rotate it 2 clicks, so 60 degrees, and then do it again, and we have our 6 spokes here. And we'll grab all of those, oops, there we go, and we will do a union on those. Oh, I am missing that one. Okay, so make sure you got all of them. Now we've got our union of the spokes. We need to cut them into this next outer ring here. So we've got our spokes. We'll grab this and we will go path and difference, and it'll cut those out of there. We're going to take this and the inner circle, and we will make a union. Oh, whoop, no. This has got a, I think we need to cut that there. Okay, path and difference, but we've got them in the wrong order here. So let's push that one all the way up to the top so that it'll be the one doing the cutting. We'll select those again and we'll do difference. There we go. And now we've got our cog. Now, I know that some of that is going to be a little confusing, partly because I moved quickly, partly because I may have not explained it the best I could, or I had a few little stutter steps there. Once you get all of your parts together like this, we're going to group all those objects. So you can do object, group, or Control G. If you ever want to ungroup objects, you can go back up to the same thing, object, ungroup, or you can simply say Control Shift G, and now they pop apart. So you can grab them and move them around again. If you want to keep them grouped, but you need to go in and edit some small part of them, you can always double click on the grouped objects, and now you can select any one of the components inside, move it to its new location, and say, okay, we're done, that looks good. Or maybe this is the way you found it. So now you've got your object that moves around all as one. You go in, you say, oh no, that needs to be changed. So we'll center everything again, and then we double click to get back out of it. So double click to come in, double click outside of it to get out, and now it's one object again. All right, so that is sort of a culmination of all of the little tools that I showed you. I guess with the exception of rows and columns, except that I guess we could make a bunch of those real quick, and then decide to put them in rows and columns. There we go. Now we've got a sheet of these. You could, in fact, move these over and get them a little bit closer together. Okay, that is looking pretty good. I want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching this one, and we're going to have other tutorials coming up here soon to show other, even more in-depth techniques using all of these tools. This is a more advanced look at the tools, but there are tons of techniques that you can pick up on, or ways to use these tools that will help benefit you when creating or designing things in the program, especially for the Laser CNC. If you have projects from watching these that you'd like us to get you a quote on, just get in touch with us at brushforhire.minis@gmail.com, or you can go to our website right here on the screen, brushforhire.com. We have a contact page. So just drop us a line, send us a copy of your file from Inkscape, or I think actually from pretty much anything that outputs a vector form, and we'll get you a quote on it. You can also check out some of the examples of the work that we do in our store on brushforhire.com. And feel free to contact us if you decide that this is just too much for you and you would rather have us help you design the product that you're looking for. Don't hesitate. Also get in touch with us the exact same way, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you very much, and happy wargaming.